We start this hour with the race for the White House, which has also become a race for cash. As April begins, both President Biden and former President Trump are kicking their fundraising efforts into high gear. The president is coming off a star-studded New York City extravaganza last week, raising an eye-popping $25 million. Now, Trump is vowing to top that number. But his fundraising efforts are already taking a hit because of his mounting legal fees. That includes the $175 million bond in his New York civil fraud case, which the former president is expected to pay this week. We have our team of experts ready to give us insight into the election. NBC News correspondent Vaughn Hilliard is here with me on set. We're also joined by our senior national politics reporter, Jonathan Allen. Vaughn, let's start with you. So Trump says he wants to hold a fundraiser of his own this upcoming weekend at this Mar-a-Lago estate, wants to raise $33 million. What do we know about this?
Right. John knows just how important this back and forth is here. And for Donald Trump, just 1 week after that New York City fundraiser, to come in with they're aiming for is $33 million is notable, primarily because they have a list of big billionaire-type figures, folks that were key to Donald Trump's campaigns in 2016 and 2020. Depending on what part of the country you're from, you may recognize some of these names. You've got Harold Hamm, you got Woody Johnson, Kelly Loeffler, the Mercer family. These are the type of figures that are going to be down there donating as much as more than $800,000. And these are funds that not only go to the campaign, some of the funds go to the Save America PAC, which is this organization that has helped Donald Trump with legal expenses, as well as the RNC to potentially help with some of those down ballot races. So for Donald Trump, a senior campaign official acknowledged just last week that they're not going to be able to match the Biden campaign dollar for dollar, saying they will be out fundraised the next 7 months. At the same time, they said they will fundraise at least enough money to be able to pull off a win in November.
So, John, this comes after President Biden brought in that record $25 million during his fundraiser last year in New York at Radio City Music Hall. New campaign filings also showed the president has more than double the amount of available cash in his campaign account compared with Trump. Walk us through why fundraising is so important here at this point in the campaign, 7 months before the election. I mean, what do these numbers tell us?
Well, Joe, I mean, the first thing is it takes a lot of money over a long period of time in order to run a campaign. You reserve ad time early. You build up your presence in the various states. Obviously, these two candidates are going to spend most of their time, most of their money in the handful of swing states that end up determining close elections. And basically, from a historical perspective, our elections dating back to at least 2000 have been pretty close. So the money allows you to do all the things that you need to do to campaign. The Trump campaign acknowledges, when you talk to them behind the scenes, they acknowledge that they're not going to raise as much money as Joe Biden in this election cycle. They didn't raise as much money as him last time, but they believe that they'll have enough to compete. We'll have to see. This fundraiser, as Vaughn said, a lot of big, bold, marquee names going out to help Trump. I think particularly notable is that several of them were people who were against him or had moved away from him in the past, now coming back into the fold.
Vaughn, let's talk about legal costs. Trump says that $175 million bond from the civil case, he will pay it in time. He had 3 more days left, basically, to pay it, 10 days from last Monday. But how much are these legal costs, the legal fees, the penalties, impacting his campaign?
It's absolutely impacting the campaign because they're seeking financial support, not only for those legal bills. Already more than $80 million have been moved from that super PAC, or I should say that leadership PAC, this organization that could have gone to support his political efforts, but those have been moved in order to cover legal expenses over the last 2 years. That's more than $80 million already. But some of the donations, if you're out there in the country and you're donating to Donald Trump a couple $1,000s, the first couple thousand will go to the campaign. Then the next couple thousand will go towards that organization that have been covering legal expenses, but also even those big donors as well. Donald Trump has been seeking cash to help cover that $175 million bond. He already had that $93 million bond that he had to cover for the E. Jean Carroll defamation judgment. And so for Donald Trump, this is all coming to a head 7 months out from the general election. This is tough financial times for him, and especially the fact that he still has 4 criminal trials pending, including the first one on April 15th. This is all in real time.
Just 2 weeks away from that one. Of course, all this money matters because of advertising, John. And the Biden campaign released a digital ad that's aimed directly at Nikki Haley's supporters. Now, that advertising is going to run for 3 weeks in several battleground states. What's the strategy here? Are these voters considered up for grabs? I know there's a theory some of these Nikki Haley voters did vote for Biden nearly 4 years ago.
There's no doubt. It's not just a theory, Joe. Having talked to voters in a bunch of the early primary states, there were definitely a lot of Democrats who voted for Nikki Haley. There were also some Republicans who voted for Nikki Haley who voted for Joe Biden last time around. And there are some Republicans who voted for Nikki Haley who voted for Donald Trump last time. These voters, this set of voters, includes people who you would consider swing voters or persuadable voters. I think that's what Joe Biden is going after. There is no doubt that there is some universe of people that are available for him to pick off who supported Nikki Haley, and obviously somewhat available because they don't like Donald Trump. They certainly didn't like him as their first choice in the Republican primary. So that's one big target of voters. Obviously, Democrats are going to spend a lot of money and energy trying to find people who already agree with them, who don't usually vote, and trying to get them out, trying to make sure that they get the kind of turnout that they got last time. But these Haley voters are part of that universe of people who are available.
All right, Vaughn Hilliard, Jonathan Allen kicking us off this hour. Thank you both. This morning, 25 million Americans are in the path of a powerful weather system making its way across the country, from devastating flooding in California to extreme heat in Texas and a threat of strong storms on the East Coast. NBC News correspondent Jesse Kirsch has more.
Oh my God, this is the 101.
In Southern California, nearly 2 inches of rain falling in just 1 hour.
Oh my God, this is so bad.
Twyla Douglas filming this video alongside her husband Scott on Highway 101 in Santa Barbara County. Severe flooding temporarily shutting down the highway in both directions.
It was surreal. I had never been in water like that, and I was really worried.
Oh God, look at this poor car.
Some drivers left stranded. Officials say 8 people were rescued, and 1 driver was treated for hypothermia. The heavy rains also washing out part of Highway 1, a nearby lodge opening its doors for stranded visitors. Charmaine Schwa was escorted out of the area.
It's a total roller coaster because we went from in one moment thinking that we'd have to start rationing our energy bars to being told we could leave.
Dangerous wet roads in Orange County causing this car to spin out and crash into a ditch, according to local reports.
The possibility that you could start to see some flooding here.
Millions under flood alerts across California.
Oh, that was a bright one.
Take a look at this video appearing to show a plane getting struck by lightning near San Jose. And further north, this is debris from a plane crash that left 2 people dead, according to airport officials. The cause has not been determined, though it was snowing in the area. The NTSB is investigating. More than 2 feet of snow fell this weekend in parts of the Sierra Nevadas. The storm is racing across the Rockies as the eastern half of the country braces for storms. Here in the Ohio Valley, we could be seeing up to 4 inches of rain by Tuesday. That means the risk of flooding. Meanwhile, across the southeast, there's the potential for record heat through Tuesday, and parts of South Texas could be seeing triple digits.
All right, Jesse Kirsch, thanks so much. Let's take a look at what's ahead, including severe storms from Texas to Ohio, bringing high winds and a risk for flash flooding. Meteorologist Violetta Yaz joins us with the forecast. Violetta, good morning.
Good morning, Joe. Yeah, it is a busy start to the month of April. We have our severe weather expected later this afternoon and evening here from parts of Texas all the way up in through the Ohio Valley, and all severe weather risks on the table right now. Damaging winds, of course, also seeing the potential for large hail and even a few strong tornadoes. The tornadoes possible here from northern Texas right into the Indianapolis area, and even seeing the potential for some nocturnal tornadoes. That, of course, even more dangerous as a lot of folks are sleeping and maybe don't have the modes to receive a lot of those severe weather alerts. So potentially very strong tornadoes expected here in the nation's midsection. By Tuesday, we see that severe weather threat start to shift to the east, with 21 million people at risk here. Once again, for damaging winds, hail, and yet again, the potential for some tornadoes. By tomorrow, we're talking from northern Alabama all the way up into Lexington, Kentucky. So a very stormy start to the week for the middle of the country. So here we have that focus today. You can see that storm ejecting out of the plains into the Midwest from Oklahoma to Illinois. And on top of those dangerous thunderstorms, we're also seeing the potential for heavy rain that could trigger some flooding. For tomorrow, that severe weather threat shifts east, and we're also also seeing the potential for flooding there. You can see some of those stronger thunderstorms developing along this cold front. And then by Wednesday, take a look at this. We have another storm that develops sort of offshore here. This helps to wrap in some cold air into the backside of this storm. So that may develop some snow on the backside of this. Pretty incredible across interior sections of the Northeast. That would be for Wednesday, but at least for today into tomorrow, that main risk is going to be the severe weather, damaging winds, hail, the potential for some tornadoes. And then you can see by Tuesday, the flood threat already it's shaping up here. We have that flood watch in effect with potentially 8 million people impacted there. In terms of rainfall totals, you can see that yellow swath from parts of Missouri all the way east into parts of New England. 1 to 2 inches possible there locally, up to 3 inches. So that is the focus for the severe weather for today. To the south of that, we're expecting very warm temperatures in the southeast, even some triple digits in parts of southwestern Texas. So a whole lot going on here as we transition into spring. Of course, we look forward to the warmer temperatures, but that also kicks off severe weather season for us. So typically a very active time.
And maybe some April snow. My goodness.
Winter saying not so fast.
All right, Violetta, thank you so much. Demolition crews remain hard at work today, removing all that wreckage in Baltimore after the Francis Scott Key Bridge collapsed. It's been nearly a week since a cargo ship crashed into the bridge's pillar, taking down the span. Removing all the wreckage is likely going to take months, and as NBC News senior correspondent Tom Costello reports, investigators are working hard to find out what caused that cargo ship to lose control.
It was pitch black as the Dolly left port on Tuesday, headed out to sea, traveling at 8 knots, a little more than 9 miles per hour. A mere 4 minutes elapsed from the first signs of trouble to the moment the ship crashed into the bridge. At 1:24 a.m., the lights suddenly went out on the ship's deck. They came back 1 minute later as dark smoke started billowing from the stack. At 1:26 a.m., the Dolly appeared to turn, but at the same moment, the lights went out again. The ship's pilot made an urgent distress call for any nearby tugboats to assist. 2 minutes later, 1:28 a.m., the ship collided with the bridge, the superstructure quickly crumbling into the river below. Police dispatch audio shows officers radioed to stop traffic less than 30 seconds after the distress call.
Hold on traffic on the Key Bridge. There's a ship approaching. It just lost their steering.
Dashcam video shows the workers on the bridge before the tragedy struck.
Dispatch, the whole bridge just fell down.
Engineering experts calculate the Dolly hit the bridge with roughly 30 million pounds of applied force.
What we do know is a bridge like this one, completed in the 1970s, was simply not made to withstand a direct impact on a critical support pier from a vessel that weighs about 200 million pounds.
While the Key Bridge was built to 1970s standards, those standards changed after a freighter hit the Sunshine Skyway Bridge over Tampa Bay in 1980 during an intense storm. 35 people died. Today, bridge support structures must be protected with barriers, like reinforced islands on the new Skyway Bridge.
I believe that if the bridge had been designed to the revised specifications that took into account the ship collision conditions for that bridge, it would not have collapsed.
The main span of the bridge is more than 1.5 miles long, named after Francis Scott Key, who wrote the national anthem. About 31,000 vehicles use the bridge every day, adding up to more than 11 million per year. The focus now is shifting to reopening the vital Port of Baltimore, the 9th biggest in the U.S. and the biggest in the nation for car imports and exports, handling more than 750,000 last year alone. The port employs more than 15,000 people a year, generating more than $3 billion in annual revenue. We traveled with the Army Corps of Engineers out on the water to get closer to the debris field that they need to start clearing out. You see that piece of steel that is right there crushing the front, the bow of the ship. That alone weighs 3,000 to 4,000 tons. They've got to cut that into pieces to remove it, and that's just for one stretch of the bridge.
This work is very unforgiving, and the planning has to be done in extreme detail, and that's the work that's going on today.
Potentially very dangerous.
Incredibly dangerous.
Experts warn the snarl of commercial traffic on the roads and in the water could make shipping even more expensive in the coming months, driving up inflation.
This is not just about Maryland. This is about our nation's economy.
For the families of the 6 construction workers lost, the heartache will linger forever. Among those lost, Miguel Luna from El Salvador, who had just celebrated a gender reveal party for his unborn grandchild. A tragedy that will echo for generations.
That was Tom Costello reporting. It remains unclear when construction of a new bridge could begin and how long the project will take to finish. For more on the bridge cleanup, we're joined by Sal Mercogliano. He is a maritime historian and former merchant mariner. Sal, thanks for joining us this morning. We appreciate your time. As we've mentioned, this process to remove the wreckage and the surrounding debris is probably going to take months. Walk us through some of the meticulous planning that had to take place before these engineers could even begin working.
Well, I mean, one of the first things they have to do is really get an assessment of what's going on, including the vessel itself. They have to stabilize it, make sure the ship doesn't move, make sure it's not going to become more of an issue. And then they have to start the analysis where they do side scan sonar, measurements. They have to figure out where every piece of this bridge is. And then what they're going to start to do is kind of this very systematic removal of the vessel. I mean, imagine a Jenga set that's glued together, and now you have to remove piece by piece, starting at the top, but you got to saw it off. That's basically what they're starting to do in this process.
For these salvage teams, what are some of the biggest challenges you expect them to encounter? I mean, just how big is this undertaking?
Well, big is the issue right there. I mean, we really don't get quite the scale of how large and massive this is. As they're doing the cutting, as you're seeing right there, they have to have those pieces stabilized. You can't have anything swing or move. So it is a meticulous effort they have to go through. And every time they make cuts and remove it, you may have the structure shift, reassess, and re-look at it every time. And obviously their priority is to remove the dolly and get that major shipping channel open. That bridge that collapsed between the 2 major spans is probably still connected, even though it looks like it's in pieces. They're going to have to look at how they take it apart to get ships back into the Port of Baltimore.
You talk about that goal to try and get the smaller auxiliary ship channel open so at least some ships can start to come through. How quickly, realistically, do you think that can happen? And what are some of the other priorities you think that need to get done in the coming weeks and months?
Well, I think one of the key things is a lot of equipment has already been there. Since it was locally based in the U.S., they have moved in a large amount of cranes. We've seen a lot of personnel come into this area. The element here is, of course, how quick and what their target is. You're coordinating 3 different salvage operations at the same time. You've got the ship, you've got the main shipping channel, and then you have the rest of the bridge. And so when they come up with a plan, then they can target and really put a lot of their assets to clearing out a portion of it. Estimates I'm hearing is anywhere from 1 month to 3 months to be able to get the main channel open, but they may be able to do it a little bit sooner if they can get a backup channel going to get some of the smaller vessels, tugs and barges, at least getting some traffic into the Port of Baltimore.
Can they use any parts of the bridge on the end that are still there, or are those going to have to go down too?
Oh, I think you're going to see the eventual destruction of the entire bridge just because of the demolition involved. The shock damage and the nature of this bridge is going to require a complete change. But right now, again, the focus has got to be on getting the dolly out, stabilizing it. Remember, the dolly is the bow is down. It's probably sitting on bottom. There was an issue with being on top of a gas pipeline. So a lot of stabilization has got to go on to get the dolly out. And then don't forget, we've had part of a container collapse up on the bow and major damage to the forward section.
All right, Sal Mercogliano, thank you for your time and your expertise this morning. We appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having me.
Before the U.S. House left Washington for a 2-week-long Easter recess, members failed to pass a bill that would send additional military aid to Ukraine. Now, we heard from one House Republican who addressed the issue Sunday on Meet the Press, discussing the hurdles facing any Ukraine aid package. Here's moderator Kristen Welker.
Hello there, Joe. This week on Meet the Press, I spoke with Nebraska Congressman Don Bacon. Here's what he had to say about the prospect of more Ukraine aid passing in the House.
If we do this bill, and I think we will, there's enough support in the House to get this done. And I want to make sure that we have support in the Senate. I don't want to just do a ping pong where we send it back over to the Senate and they don't act. So this has got to be a bicameral, bipartisan solution. But we want to force the president's hand.
But the Senate did send over a bill months ago, Congressman. The Senate did send over a bill months ago, and it got stalled in the House.
Well, it didn't have a lot of bicameral support, at least on the Republican side. Why is that? You have about almost $30 billion in humanitarian aid, and there's not a lot of support for that amount of humanitarian aid going to Ukraine. We think the EU could do a lot more than humanitarian than they are. They just did a $50 billion humanitarian aid, and Germany's committed more. We think our role should be more military aid because that's what we're good at. And so I think I'm optimistic we're going to get this done in 2 weeks. Yeah. I just want to ensure it's bicameral because I don't want to just send a bill over to the Senate and it doesn't go anywhere. So that's been my main concern. But I have a commitment from the Speaker and the Chairman of the Foreign Affairs Committee that we're going to put this on the floor and get a vote.
You can see my full interviews and a lot more at meetthepress.com. You can also get more Meet the Press here on NBC News Now every weekday at 4 p.m.
All right, Kristen, thank you so much. In Gaza, Israeli officials confirm their forces have withdrawn from Al-Shifa Hospital after a 2-week operation. The World Health Organization says 21 patients have died since Israel invaded the hospital. Well, back in Israel, mass protests by thousands opposed to Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's handling of the war have reached a critical point. NBC News international correspondent Raf Sanchez is in Tel Aviv with the latest.
Hey there, a new round of ceasefire negotiations is now underway in Cairo, but here in Israel, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu facing the biggest protests he's seen since the start of the war, and in Gaza, Israeli commandos have just pulled out of the largest hospital in the Strip.
Overnight, Israeli troops withdrawing from Al-Shifa Hospital after a 2-week raid, leaving devastation in their wake. Israel says it killed more than 100 militants hiding in and around the hospital and captured senior Hamas operatives. Hamas denies using the hospital as a base. This footage shows the severe damage left by the fighting, and the World Health Organization says at least 21 patients died during the siege. It comes as Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is under intense pressure at home. This morning, he's recovering from what doctors say was a successful hernia operation. But outside, his political troubles mounting. Anger at massive weekend protests in Jerusalem and Tel Aviv, calling for early elections and a ceasefire deal to free the hostages. Hours before surgery, Netanyahu defiant, saying elections would paralyze Israel and insisting he will attack Rafah despite opposition from the White House. The U.S. and Israel expected to hold a virtual meeting today to discuss President Biden's alternatives to an invasion, an Israeli official says. In his Easter message, Pope Francis calling for an immediate ceasefire and the release of the hostages. Peace is never made with weapons, but with outstretched hands and open hearts, he said. Only around 1,000 Palestinian Christians were left in Gaza before the war. Now, fears, death, and displacement will be the end of this ancient community. But in the light of Easter morning, the faithful together again. Sister Mila Saleh saying, "I pray for peace," a prayer shared across Gaza and around the world.
Now, that virtual meeting happening between the White House and the Israeli government today was supposed to happen in person in Washington last week, but was canceled by Prime Minister Netanyahu in an unusually public display of anger with the United States. The fact that it's being rescheduled may be a sign Netanyahu now trying to lower tensions. Back to you.
All right, Raf Sanchez, thank you.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.